about the courses that we're trying to put their students into. And in the first instance, we'll just focus on the Cert 3 in business admin. Okay? So if you were actually going out to talk to an employer and they said, well, why should my young person do this course, or why should my trainee do this course, as opposed to doing something else, what's the answer? Why should they? Ian?
Well, for two reasons. One would be opportunity for the particular business itself as far as improving the qualification for the trainee and her advancement, and then her advancement is to her benefit, but it would have to benefit the company if she is highly trained or better trained than she is.
Okay, so let's take that thread. How can it benefit the company? Like, what are some of the really nitty-gritty
core
things?
skills, isn't
So
it?
core
skills
skills.
like
Skills what?
that they're going to get, probably if they're dealing with customer environment, the customer training that we do, it offers great skills for the student to be able to deal with the customer and customer complaints that come across.
Okay.
But also they learn to do mail merge and things that are beneficial to the company when they send out letters and things like that.
Okay, so in their word processing, they're doing mail merging and things.
Yeah, well, that's so much the same. The software skills are really hands-on, practical tools that they use every day.
Okay.
And most of the time they just come from school, so they can advance those skills through the course that they do with the Cert 3.
Right.
With their IT.
Okay. What other benefits might there be for the students?
It's a training of soft
They don't need
skills.
to time at school anymore.
Sure. Okay. So all of a sudden they've got some discipline where you're actually saying to them, you're going to have to learn to type and do the speed tests and things like that.
Gives them a good understanding of the office environment, because a lot of them have come straight from school or come from working in McDonald's or whatnot, so it gives them a you know, culture and that whole office dynamic that they're not used to, which makes them more effective.
Okay, so why can't an employer just do this by themselves? Like, why do they need us to help
They
them?
often don't have the time or
The resource.
The resources, so time, resources.
and it's also good coming from a third party too, because sometimes there can be office politics or like dynamic problems that the message's not getting across properly from you know, the co-workers. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we need to dynamic learning in there.
But they also...
No, but I've got workplaces where the supervisors can be quite intimidating, or you know, they're busy, or the co-workers have got, you know, so
The guys might not be very good.
That's true.
It's a wide range of skills, you know, and
Within the people that I
experts and
train.
everything.
So Ian?
Sorry, within the people that I train, I have found that what our training does is it improves their confidence. Quite often when you first, and I mentioned this in the previous, quite often when you first start doing the training, or particularly the training plan, the trainees are very nervous and very scared. And I've noticed after about 3 to 6 months you see a marked improvement in their confidence and how they handle people and how they talk to people, which is quite a benefit to come.
So we're going to start with Jodie. The next question is, how do you actually develop a relationship? So that relationship that makes the students feel more at ease and to develop their skills. How do you develop a relationship in the workplace?
I guess you ask questions, you're interested in them, you find out about what their place is in the workplace, you find out about what the workplace does and how they do it, so that you can then help them to learn more about the workplace and the work environment that they're working in.
How can you add to that, Alan?
It also gives you an opportunity, if you're doing certain things, you can customise them in the workplace. So you're learning about the workplace and you can give them an example. So you do some of the softer skills like teaming, you can talk about staff meetings and positive attitudes and so on.
So all of a sudden you're getting very involved in what the workplace is all about, and about the workplace as well. Barbara, what do you do on top of that to actually develop workplace relationships?
I think alleviate their stress, you know, when they know that they've got a limited time in which to do something. And sometimes I know I teach them a lot of shortcuts, definitely a lot of word shortcuts. So I give them lists and say, well, here's a lot of shortcuts, and I help them to put them into practice. So it helps to alleviate stress when they're on a time limit for something. And I always say to them, you can only do your best. And I said, they can't ask more than your best. You give of your best. And I always teach them to ask questions. If in doubt, always ask.
Okay,
I said,
so
rather than go ahead and do something, if in doubt, always go to your supervisor and ask questions.
okay, so let's take it a step further and we go, okay, that's Cert 3, and that's really hands-on and practical. What's the advantage of somebody actually then going on and doing a diploma of management. So what are the benefits that people get out of doing a diploma of management? Who wants to start? Thanks, Anne.
I think diploma of management, obviously for those that are managing a team or in the management structure of the company, it's a really good way of structuring their skills that perhaps they already have and gaining new ones. But I like it when a trainee hasn't necessarily had that experience.
Yes.
I think it gives insight into how management works, why decisions are made, how the decision-making process is carried out within the company.
So what I want you to do is think about all of your diploma of management students and try and come up with an example of where you've actually seen it put into practice, where this whole diploma all of a sudden has made an impact on that workplace. Can you think of an example?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, go for it.
I had a girl who was obviously doing diploma of management, and her feeling when it started was basically that, oh yeah, here I'm learning something. And they had a manager at the time who was an authoritarian type and didn't give too much autonomy to any of the staff. She found it amazing that when that fellow left in the process of the traineeship was still going on, and a new fellow came in from Melbourne who had obviously done diploma of management and done a lot of work, and he was introducing a whole heap of stuff that I'd been training her, which she was just sort of not grasping, but all of a sudden she saw this fellow putting what I was talking about into action, and she started getting more and more interested and started to realise exactly what a diploma can do.
So it's not just a book thing, it's something that you can actually see in the workplace. Can you think of an
I've
example?
got one where they were actually in the workplace, they didn't have management systems in there. So we developed a couple of little management systems, and then she took it to a management meeting and put it together, and now they're actually using the system.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it's also led on to her with her leadership skills, being able to present it, and now they've got it in place.
That's great. Shannon?
I've got a student, I'll talk about a particular unit doing is that manage information workplace system. And yeah, he works for a company that don't have a lot of backup procedures. He's told me they don't actually back their data up at all. Which I can't imagine would be true, but he tells me no, we don't back up our data at all. So he's done that unit along with manage operational plan and developed a whole procedure and gone and sourced suppliers and implemented the training and done the whole bit from beginning to end to have a backup system. So now they have one. So now you can sleep at night.
It sounds like really minor, but it's like a business, it's major.
I know. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean you don't have a backup system? What do you mean? What would happen if you burnt down? We just wouldn't be able to come to work.
And it's a fantastic qualification. They actually love getting the qualification.
I find the same with operational plan. I've been in a few places where they haven't got an operational plan because they're a relatively small business and they've never put an operational plan into place. And when I've taught the diploma and we've discussed it, they said, well, I could do that. And I said, yes, well, we'll adjust it to the needs of your business and we'll help you write an operational plan. And the boss was absolutely over the moon when we did it and said, I always thought I should do one. He was so thrilled that the trainee actually got to and did it and only talked about it.
Laurel, can you think of an example?
I'm just thinking that a student at the moment I've got doing the continuous improvement subject has instigated focus groups through, sort of starting to talk about the continuous improvement. It hasn't sort of finished yet, but you can see that she's putting the learning, into it. I think what I particularly notice about the students at diploma level is they start to see the bigger picture. It forces them into that bigger picture, and I really like that when they start to get that information.
That's great. Alan?
Building on what about the operational plan, I think that applies to the other units as well. Because a lot of businesses that I see don't have policies and procedures in place and control mechanisms. So as they go through the various units, they get the background and they're able to actually develop that policy. And then they can do research and also implement them as well. You get the whole game.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Jodie?
I
probably the biggest impact, I've got a student who's done Cert 4 and then gone on to do the diploma with me. When I first went into the business, which is a small family business, they had no computer, no printer, their files were kept in boxes on cards. He now has developed a program where he scans every document and has created files for everybody. He's created a database out of Excel from what he's learned from Cert 4. I obviously had to do a little bit of underpinning learning in Word and Excel and Outlook and but they're just embracing the technology. They're scanning everything. They're using fax, using email. They've actually taken all of their boxes out of the business. And one day I went out the back and he was showing me where the boxes were, and I said, "Is that food in there with all those chemicals?" And I said, "You probably shouldn't do that. It's probably a bit of an OHS risk and a bit of an issue." So when they pulled all of the boxes out, they obviously had all of this room. So they made that a lockable cupboard for all of the chemicals that they needed to keep that. Right. He then created a procedure document that was how they handle all of their chemicals and it's grown. He's written a huge procedural manual now.
That's fantastic. Lauren, do you have one last example for us? So where somebody has taken their diploma of management and put it into practice in the workplace.
Diploma of management, not business management.
Probably OHS.
Yeah.
Just getting people to really look at. I think one of the best things they could do was doing their what do you call it when you make up, like your hazard actually non-compliant.
So when they really look at the risk that they're exposing themselves to.
Rather than just doing it through a textbook.
Yeah, absolutely.
But actually seeing, oh, okay, and what could happen from this.
So one of the things that I'm hearing all the time too is that the value of the training is coming because they're actually applying the skills to the workplace.
Absolutely. Only then does it happen. To learn it theoretically, they just forget it.
There you go. Okay.